Meet the Johnsons of Worcester County.
No, I've committed a few burglaries, pinched a few handbags and things like that and all.
Well, I will only rob your house if I feel the need, as I've got to feed my children.
I'm a thief. That's what I am, a thief, all right? There you go.
For years, they plagued the West Country.
I really feel I've got the fucking right to rob the lords out there. I feel I've got the right to rob the sirs, the lords and the ladies.
Taunting the police.
What is wrong with the Gloucestershire fucking police? Can't they catch anybody?
Making off with over £30 million to become Britain's most successful burglars.
This gang was so active. Lots of people were very, very fearful, thinking that they were probably next on the list.
The police knew it had to stop.
This time, we made sure we were going to get them.
But the Johnsons never surrender.
We're coming to hurt one of the Johnsons, we're coming back. You'll have to kill the lot of us.
The west of England is midsummer, without the murders. Quiet and peaceful, until 2005. A gang of burglars were ripping up the region. They took risks and anything that wasn't screwed down. They left nothing behind, not even forensics. But the police had suspicions about one family, the Johnsons. They were travellers, and so brazen, they'd taken part in a BBC documentary in 2004. They didn't like the rich or the law.
Oh, and again. Sparring, box it, Bobby. Box it.
When I say go, shape up then, spar up. Wait till I ring the bell. Ding dong. I taught all my children to defend themselves. If a policeman pulls up my son now and punches him, or wants to arrest him for something he hasn't done, I tell him to stand up for his rights. I said, if you've got to defend yourself by violence, take that course.
The clan were led by brothers Jimmy and Ricky. Being part of the Johnsons involved upholding proud family traditions.
When you're on the streets, you get to know a lot of policemen. And you're always telling them to fuck off, go fuck off, you did this and all that. And you're around with them all the time.
Anytime no seatbelt? Yeah.
The Johnsons knew the system. In fact, they kept the system going, with convictions for burglary, fraud, theft and deception. They were trouble magnets.
The Johnson family and their associates would probably appear in our paper once a week, I would say. We often used to joke at the reporters that if ever they were sent away for a long time, we'd be without a job because I've nothing else to write about. So common was it that they'd be in magistrates or Crown Court.
Jimmy and Ricky went to an approved school. They got excellent grades in fighting and hating.
If you got ill, you got beat. Where I sort of went, I was taken to hospital, going for operations and what have you that I didn't really understand, but due to beatings that I had from the approved school. And I hated every fucking bit of it.
And I watched my mother and father struggle and work their guts out. I watched them work their guts out, right? And then I watched people come and destroy and take everything they had. And I was a little kid, and I watched them drag my mother and drag my father, and I thought, well, if that's how you people are going to carry on, fuck you. I'll come back at you in a little bit. I'll fucking come back.
I'd like to make this dead clear to the people out there, and to the police. If I feel the need where I've got to rob a country manor stately home, I will do so.
Wadston Manor, near Aylesbury, was the country home of the Rothschilds, one of Britain's richest families. Now owned by the National Trust, it's packed with unique and valuable collections. Can you see where this is going? In June 2003, a gang of 5 men smashed their way into a room containing a precious collection of 17th century gold boxes, some formerly owned by Marie Antoinette, and valued at £5 million. A security guard said he thought he'd seen a gun pointed at him as the gang escaped.
Detectives say it was a well-planned raid by professional thieves. The gang of 5 men broke into the stately home that houses the famous Rothschild collection. They managed to cheat the security system and escape before police arrived.
Well-planned, ruthless, and no clues. It felt like a Johnson job. But Jimmy had an excellent alibi. He was already in prison. He seemed to agree with the police.
Jimmy's got on the phone to me from the jail. I've had special branch in here. You know what you've gone and done? I said, what, Jim? You know, that Lord Rothschild's then having this. You'll get us all yours. I'm the only one who's going to sort this out. Then I'm saying, are you? Jimmy really believes that I got him and I ain't telling him. And he's missing out somewhere. That's the real case here. Jimmy believes that I got him more than that the police force believes I got him. There you go. Jimmy believes it more.
I don't give a fuck. What I give a fuck about is Lord Rothschild, Lord and Lady fucking Chichester, Lord fucking Chumley, and people like that were saying that we robbed them. And all these earls and brigadiers and big high-up people who run this country. Saying, well, now we've had enough of these Johnsons, let's do something about them.
The night after the break-in, a car was found abandoned near Wadston Manor, with gold boxes hidden in the glove compartment. Then another car was discovered. It had been set on fire. Nearby lay several more gold boxes. They were badly damaged. Marie Antoinette would be appalled. The cars didn't contain any clues. Armed police led a raid on the caravan site.
I woke up with a gun to my head and my kids. Policemen screaming to my kids, don't move, don't move, don't move, with rifles, with masks on. Are screaming to me, don't move, don't move. And my kids were hysterical, broke down, crying their eyes out. And they're trying to tell me I'm not allowed to get out of bed to give my kids a cuddle. I was there blowing my brains out. You know, and I dramatised my kids that did. Do you think I don't want that shit for my kids? And that's why I don't give a fuck about his boxes. Fuck your boxes.
The police didn't find gold boxes, but they did find sawn-off shotguns. Ricky Johnson, his son Chad, and nephew Danny O'Loughlin were arrested. But the guns had been hidden away from the caravans, so the police couldn't directly link them to any one person. The case was dropped. Wadston Manor was just a warm-up. In the next 2 years, there were almost 100 other unsolved burglaries. An organised and professional gang was stealing from shops, banks and country estates across 7 counties in the west of England. The jobs had similar hallmarks, convincing the police that the same outfit was to blame. As usual, they left no clues, and no one was nicked. Worried aristocrats bombarded the Historic Houses Association, asking for advice.
There was a great sense of frustration because more and more properties were being done and nothing seemed to be done about it. And obviously lots of people were very, very fearful, thinking that they were probably next on the list. That this gang was so active that really no house in that region was safe.
People lost confidence in the police's ability to protect them.
The thieves took advantage of the fact that the police network was not communicating very effectively. If you stole items from several different police regions, the odds were that the police officers concerned wouldn't talk to each other, wouldn't even appreciate what was going on in their next door police area.
I think there was certainly a perception that the police perhaps weren't nailing the family for things that they'd done and were possibly letting them run riot. But I think it's difficult because while a lot of them are illiterate and ill-educated, they're also very wily and quite well versed on forensic evidence and things, so it was often difficult to pin them down for any individual crime.
The Johnsons were the #1 suspects, but the police could do nothing.
It's fair to say that they ran their activity like a business. Different parts of them were responsible for different activity, and they were very organised. They didn't do anything by chance. And a large amount of intelligence was that the Johnsons were likely to be responsible for the crimes that were occurring.
The police were always one step behind as the crime wave continued.
There was a great head of steam being built up. Everyone was getting very frustrated. Individual police forces were doing what they could. But for a situation like that, you really needed several police forces to work together. The pressure was for those police forces to get together and mount that joint operation.
The police had to do something, urgently. They created a code name and a special unit. Operation Hall combined officers from 4 forces to catch the Johnsons. Mark Warwick was put in charge of the investigation. A policeman since he was 18, he was used to catching robbers, rapists and murderers. He was offered the chance to catch Britain's biggest criminal gang.
This was a huge challenge for me. There was a lot of expectation in the force and in the community. I really had to get it right.
Days after the team got to work in October 2005, they got a huge break. Warnford Place used to be Ian Fleming's home and is now owned by Formula One tycoon Paddy McNally. Callers here normally arrive in evening wear. But on this particular evening, the guests wore hoodies and skipped the small talk.
The robbery at Warnford Place was a very efficient robbery. They actually used 4x4 Subarus, they wrecked the premises beforehand, they came across country, they smashed through fences to get there. They were in and out in less than 10 minutes, seizing over £1 million worth of goods, knowing exactly what they wanted. They were very organised, and for the first time we probably realised how effective they were in their planning and organisation.
The police raced to the Johnsons' caravan site after they were tipped off a car was ablaze in a nearby field. There was no sign of the gang or the antiques.
When I came into the office in the morning and realised this offence had occurred whilst we were actually conducting our investigation, this made it very, very personal, and I realised that no more people should be victims of this gang.
With 30 officers on the case and a huge area to cover, Mark Warwick was learning about the Johnsons' tastes, methods and, crucially, their motives.
When they actually attack the building, there's going to be very, very few people there, apart from the occupants. They're quite happy to confront the occupants and take control. They know it's going to take a while for a police or even a security response to go across country. They don't have to go on the roads where the police response will be coming. They can avoid the roadblocks, and they're away with the hall and out of the scene very quickly.
Some of the stately homes had open days for the public. For a small fee, the gang could wander around and admire the valuables and the security.
It does give people with evil intentions the chance to get in there, and for a few pounds they can get in, they can wander around, they can look where all the movement detectors are, look at where all the CCTV is, and then they can effectively plan their route in and out of the establishment and mark exactly what they want and where it is within the room. So any property that's open to the public is much more vulnerable than one that isn't.
I think the family did have a knowledge of antiques. Certainly Jimmy Johnson is a self-professed antiques expert, actually, and he's self-trained and self-taught. He has a lot of antiques network contacts throughout the country, as I understand it, and he would have known how and where to shift various items.
There was a pattern to it. There was a pattern of high-value antiques disappearing, and they weren't particularly fussy what they took, as long as it was small and portable. So, china, small objets d'art, anything that could be easily removed and sold later on.
They liked the antiques, but gave the country house lifestyle a miss.
I think there's been moments in time when they have enjoyed certain lifestyles with use of certain types of cars, Porsches or other types of vehicles, and they always seem to have had ready cash to buy bits of property or caravans or other. I think they very much live a hand-to-mouth type existence. You know, what they steal, they sell on. I'm sure they don't get the full market value for that property, but there's quite a large gang to support in financial terms.
Stanton Harcourt, an Elizabethan manor, was open to the public 26 days a year. Soon after an open day, and just a month after the police began their investigation, the terrified owner came face to face with a man carrying a large crowbar. Luckily for him, the robber decided to leg it by jumping out of a bedroom window. 45 minutes later, Albie Johnson arrived at Cheltenham Hospital with 2 broken ankles. Albie told the police he'd fallen off a wall at his mother's house, but detectives were the ones climbing the walls. With no evidence, he couldn't be charged.
We're trying to find detail, we're trying to find method, we're trying to find pattern of offending. At this moment in time, one of the key things we found out was the type of vehicle. They like to use Subarus, and a particular vehicle that came of interest to us at this moment was a silver Subaru Impreza.
Witnesses had seen this car at several recent crimes. It had family history. It was bought with a false name and address by Michael Nichols, Ricky Johnson's son-in-law. Ricky's sons, Albie and Chad, had also been spotted driving the same car. And it's seen at an attempted burglary at Specialised Park in Worcestershire, when 5 men in balaclavas tried to break into a downstairs window.
It is dangerous down there.
Then the police chased the same car days later. It was so fast the driver and his passengers had time to pop to the shops and the chippy during the chase. One thing they could do was drive.
In their normal driving, they're lethal. In their offending driving, they're trying to get away from an offence or from a police chase. They have no care or respect for the public or public safety or anyone else's safety.
I was about 16. It was a stolen Cavalier SRI. So I was coming down this lane, I was doing about 100 mile an hour. I was trying to get 120 out of it. And when we hit this bend, I lost control of the car. And then sometime or some way through that crash, I can remember being sat in the field on my ass, watch that car go down that lane doing somersaults, mate. But the funny thing about it is, when I come round, I was in the fucking car.
2 weeks after the burglary at Warnford Place, the experts reported back about the car found burned out near the Johnsons' caravan site. It was a Subaru with distinctive features: 3 alloy and 1 steel-rimmed wheel, a windscreen wiper of 45 degrees to the window, and an unusual aerial. These details match the car seen on camera at the house. The original owner described the men who bought the car with wads of cash. Guess what? It was the Johnsons. Chipping Camden is 13 miles away from the Johnsons' caravan park in Evesham. With their driving, that's about 2 minutes away. In the early hours of the 1st of October 2005, the peace was shattered when thieves smashed open the front door of Robert Welch's, one of the country's leading silversmiths. Alice Welch is the only victim in the space of West Country burglaries prepared to talk publicly about what happened.
The morning I walked in after the burglary, I came in. The door was completely hanging off its hinges. Everywhere was a scene of devastation. There was glass all over the floor. All the products that were on the surfaces were out and on the floor. They'd dragged the safe all the way along the floor and out the door. So there's deep, deep groove marks all the way through. And yes, it was just complete devastation, and very violent devastation as well. I felt shocked, deeply shocked at the violence of the break-in and the absolute sort of mess, the terrible mess that was everywhere.
There were no clues and no forensics. Once again, the police raided the Johnsons' caravan site. They found a TV and a DVD stolen from a shop in Warwickshire, porcelain from a shop in Worcestershire, and cutlery from the Welsh's shop in Gloucestershire. Thinking they'd cracked the case, officers questioned the family, but they all denied knowledge of the loot. Yet again, no charges. The Johnsons weren't daft. They knew how to foil a court case.
They often swapped property, lived in each other's property. You wouldn't be able to assign a particular property to them. Vehicle-wise, they shared vehicles. So all of that added to the chaotic lifestyle that meant that they were, we would call them an organised crime group, but it was also difficult to show them individually responsible for crime.
The police decided to change tactics. The Johnsons were now under surveillance.
I think they were as confident as they could be that we weren't good at what we were doing, and I don't think they realised that we were looking at them in the intensity, or they were in such a sharp light that they actually were, which allowed them to gain some confidence.
What is wrong with the Gloucestershire fucking police? Can't they catch anybody? What is fucking wrong with you, you idiots?
The Johnsons had got cocky, so the police used stop and search techniques on the gang. Thanks to this pressure, the crime wave stopped, and then started again. In the early hours of New Year's Day 2006, CCTV cameras in a co-op store in Oxfordshire captured a gang as they stole the cash machine, getting away with £54,000. There had been a spate of cash machine robberies in 2005. And yet again, the finger was pointing in one direction.
We strongly suspected this was the Johnsons.
Shops and banks were ram-raided with 4x4s and sometimes with stolen JCBs, literally scooping the cash machines out of the wall. The raids were well planned and well executed. Even the local police were taken care of.
Before one such theft in Bromyard in Herefordshire, tyres on police cars at the local station were slashed to prevent officers from giving chase.
And if tactics like these failed, the Johnsons were always prepared to fight their way out.
They will never, ever, ever, ever beat the Johnsons, because we'll never give in. I don't care if it's the biggest gangster family in the world, I don't care if it's the Queen, I don't care if it's the army, I don't care who it is. If they come and hurt one of the Johnsons, we're coming back. You'll have to kill the lot of us.
To beat them, the police had to catch them first. And even on the roads, that was proving impossible. This Subaru was escaping from an attempted burglary. Police gave chase in Oxford rush hour. At over 120 miles per hour, it was too dangerous to pursue, so the police stopped chasing. When the car was found abandoned, officers found the cigarette stub inside bearing the DNA of Michael Nichols, Ricky's son-in-law. When questioned, Nichols denied any knowledge of the chase or the burglary. He was released without charge. Sound familiar? At the end of January, another cash dispenser was pulled out of the wall by a JCB. The gang got away with £60,000, leaving the building in a state of near collapse. Searching for the cars involved in the raid, the police found the cash dispenser in woods near Finchampstead, where Danny O'Loughlin, Ricky Johnson's nephew, lived. Then, right under the noses of the investigating team, the gang struck again, getting away with an estimated £20 million worth of art and antiques.
This was the scene of one of the biggest burglaries in British history.
Owner Sir Harry Hyams had spent 30 years building an antique collection that was better than most of the world's top museums. Some of the 17th century clocks and porcelain were worth over £1 million each. The heist had all the Johnson hallmarks. Swift, efficient, and leaving no clues.
They stood here and they'd have been looking and seeing what security was in place. They then drove into the premises over the grass. They broke into the house and they had a considerable amount of time to put stuff in bins and wheel away into their vehicles before the people in the house were aware and alerted police. They obviously then decamped in their usual way with their vehicles across the grass area.
After this raid, Wiltshire police joined the investigating team and added another unsolved case from their patch, again with all the Johnson trademarks. Just a mile from Ramsbury Manor, Ramsbury Hill House had been broken into a few months earlier.
We know they lost some personal items and antiques, some silver, a vase and a clock with family heirlooms. A local member of the public asked them what they was doing and basically was told, if you don't go away, we're going to shoot you. A getaway vehicle, a Subaru, was parked outside waiting for the burglars to come out.
Police combed through hours of CCTV, hoping to link the gang with the car. Eventually they hit gold, with a recording made the day before the burglary, from a shop in the middle of Warwickshire. The Johnsons can be seen inside the shop, and eyewitnesses said they had arrived in a silver Subaru car.
For the first time, we've actually got them on pictures with the vehicle linked to a criminal offence.
The breakthrough was followed by another break-in.
Another shocking raid on a bank. This time, thieves targeting a branch of NatWest and Sonning Common. Using a mechanical digger, the gang of men ploughed into the wall of the building before removing the cash machine.
Local police were quickly on the scene and gave chase, but were rammed by two waiting 4x4s. The gang got away. The police spent the next 2 days hunting for the truck. They found it hidden in a quarry with the cash machine still on the back. 40 police officers lay in wait. Many of them were armed. Eventually, 2 men, known associates of the Johnsons, arrived.
We watched them do this, we followed them, and at the appropriate safe time we attempted to stop them. That time they rammed a police vehicle and had to be stopped using firearms officers. And then, in typical Johnson fashion, a fight ensued where they were restrained and arrested.
The men were charged with dishonestly handling stolen money. A mobile phone was found on one of them, containing several numbers for Danny O'Loughlin, Ricky Johnson's nephew.
The ability to have key phones and key people's information on their phones that we can then use to put back at specific times and locations is a key breakthrough.
Using O'Loughlin's phone records, the whole team were able to track back and get mobile phone numbers for several of the Johnsons. They could now plot their movements at the time of the burglaries. The gang thought they'd been clever by turning their phones off whenever they met to plot their next heist. This happened several times at a Wiltshire service station on the M4.
They would arrive here, the phones would go off, they'd go and do their recce, they'd then come back here, and of course they then want to make contact with people, they've probably had people trying to get hold of them, therefore they put their mobile phones back on. So a lot of mobile phone activity of being turned on, turned off, is around this specific location.
Analysts discovered the mobiles were switched on and off at times that matched burglaries at Ramsbury Manor and bank jobs at Stamford in the Vale, Mortimer and Sonning Common. These services were chosen for more than just their coffee.
The significance of this is you can actually get off of this motorway and you can come across this bridge we're standing on and you can go off into the country either way. So effectively you can go north, south, east and west from this location.
With the police closing in, the investigation took a new turn.
The heat's now on for them. You know, we're aware of them in relation to ATMs, we're aware of them in relation to country houses, but they spotted a new niche in the market.
The value of precious metal went through the roof, and quick to capitalise, the Johnsons found a scrap metal dealer in the West Midlands, happy to pay cash, no questions asked. But the cameras were left on. This is Erco Metals. They stole titanium worth £94,000. The company had been hit a few weeks before, losing £120,000 in nicked metal. The gang turned up in daylight to have a look, wearing fluorescent jackets. Then came back at night to rip the gates off the wall. But the car snapped first. There goes the bumper and the no claims bonus. It's time for the battering van. The outer shutter is gone, time for the inside gate. Two goes and they're in, loaded up and away in double quick time. Next day, it's back to weigh in the scrap. Danny O'Loughlin and Chad Johnson are caught on camera collecting the cash. 5 days later, they are back again, selling alloy coils worth £82,000. And cameras caught them 4 days later, delivering metal stolen from businesses in Cheltenham and Hereford. Next, the Johnsons were recorded on camera as they stole copper from another metal business. Then it was back to unload the £40,000 worth of copper, before once again collecting wads of cash. The police were determined to catch them red-handed. When they got a tip-off that the gang were planning to rob a metal company called TTI Services, 50 police were watching and waiting, and some were armed.
We were actually sitting there waiting for them. They committed the offence, but again in true Johnson form, when challenged, jumped in a vehicle and sped off. Short chase followed. The actual vehicle was rolled over as they were trying to get around the corner. They came out of the vehicle fighting, thinking they were probably going to be up against a couple of local police officers, but this time they met their match. Quite a strong fight ensued, and they were arrested and restrained and later taken to Gloucestershire police station.
12 people, including 8 members of the Johnson family, were arrested and charged with conspiracy to burgle. With most of the gang in custody, police said offences in the area fell by 95%.
It's all out of proportion. We're being victimised for proxy theft of metal. That's all it is. It's no more than a 6-month imprisonment charge. I was in prison on one of the dates. I was sat in front of the judge on one of the other dates of these crimes that I'm in here for, and I don't even know what they're all going on about. But showtime.
All the gang, including Chad and Sonny Johnson, Danny O'Loughlin and Stephen Davis, Ricky Johnson's daughter's boyfriend, were found guilty. Sentences ranged from 2 to 7 years. Now, the police switched their focus to the country house burglaries. They had 5 key suspects, 3 now inside and 2 at liberty. The caravan site was raided. 13 people, including 2 main suspects, Ricky and Albie Johnson, were arrested. The police decided to prosecute them for conspiracy to burgle and cited just 13 of the dozens of cases they were suspected of carrying out. But in a pre-trial meeting, the judge decided that the strongest case, the Wadston Manor gold box heist, should be heard on its own.
What that meant for the team was lots of extra work. We couldn't just rely on it as part of the conspiracy. We actually had to prove the single offence against individuals. Therefore, we had to do lots of re-investigation, revisiting witnesses, going through the whole investigation again.
The police had an ace up their sleeve. A man prepared to testify against the Johnsons. Despite being so terrified, his evidence came via video link.
He was actually living with the family on their campsite at the time of the burglary and claimed he'd seen the family unloading gold boxes and treasures from 4x4s and Land Rovers and hiding them in woods.
But he got confused about the dates, and the judge said he'd tell the jury to ignore his evidence. Without this, the case collapsed.
We were absolutely gutted. We really felt we'd actually were convinced in the jury that these people were actually guilty of Waddesdon Manor.
The trial for the country house burglaries began in January last year. The police knew this was their last chance to finally nail them all, once and for all.
The atmosphere was really tense, and the Johnsons came with their usual large amount of family, part of their traditional intimidation process. They were using every tactic to try and make allegations against the police in relation to the prosecution case. We just had to be very, very professional. The way we used graphics, the way we introduced phone evidence, the way we actually laid one offence on top of another, and you just continually kept seeing the same type of method of operating, the same purchase style of vehicles, the same thing happening with phones every time someone did a robbery, the same thing happening with people. And you keep laying that over weeks and weeks at a jury, then actually it's very, very convincing.
But the Johnsons claimed it was all a conspiracy.
Ricky Johnson told me his family was innocent. He claimed the authorities had framed them because they are gypsies.
A ruthless, organised gang?
Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not ruthless, and we're not an organised gang. They want another Ronnie and Reggie Cray business in this country, don't they? I mean, you know, they've got to have one of every period of time, I'd imagine, and who better to blame than the ones they hate the most?
I mean, I got swayed by Ricky Johnson many a time. I used to sit down over lunch with him during the court case, the Ramsbury Manor raid trial, and we'd discuss how the trial was going and things. And within 5 minutes, he'd have me convinced that he was scot-free, and all this was a big joke, and the police had persecuted him for no reason. And in the cold light of the evening, when you go home and look at the facts, you think, hang on a second, I've been duped myself here.
After a month-long trial, the gang were found guilty. Danny O'Loughlin got 11 years behind bars. Michael Nichols was given a 10-year sentence. Chad Johnson got 11 years, and his brother Albie got 9 years. Ricky Johnson was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment. The police were jubilant.
I was really pleased for the team that put so much hard work and effort in, and I was also felt that at least the victims of crime now could see that justice had been done and these people being punished for the horrendous offences they committed.
Meanwhile, the family are still living on the caravan site at Cleve Prior, waiting for their men to come home. The Johnsons are appealing their sentence. As for the Johnsons' haul, very little of it has been recovered. No one can know for sure where it is, apart from the Johnsons. And they're not telling.
In fact, there's a story that the family could regularly be seen digging holes across the county because they've actually forgotten where a lot of their proceeds have gone. And they'd regularly be seen in a field in the Cotswolds digging aimlessly, trying to find out and remember where they'd buried various artefacts and porcelain jugs. And so, I mean, who knows what's buried in the Cotswolds. So it might be that a lucky farmer comes across a rare antique one day, who knows?
Stay with us here on BBC One for a new series of Film 2009 and guests including Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio.